Hello again. Welcome back to an ASMR video. We're going to be looking at more watches in my collection, but this time I'm going to try a more soft-spoken approach. These are the miscellaneous pieces. Some of them are broken, some of them work, but they just don't really fit with the theme of my collection, really. But without further ado, let's get started. I wanted to start with some GShocks. So this is a G9000, also known as the Mugman. It's from the Master of G collection. This watch actually, on the forums, on the GShock section of Watch You Seek, people kind of didn't like it because if you compare it to a GLX 150 or GD, I thought it was a DW, but you can see it's a lot smaller than your typical GShock. And this collection was supposed to be the most, how do I say this? The more advanced. Each one had a special feature. So this one, special feature is mud resistance, as the name may imply. The buttons have this red kind of rubber. It goes around and forms a seal around the button, so any dirt that gets in, well, it prevents dirt from getting in, because if you can see, the buttons here, even though the tolerances are good, small particles of dirt can still get in. So this one's nice. It's rally racing themed, and as a Subaru enthusiast as well, I kind of like the overall package of the Mugman. Since I showed these two already, I'll do them at once. This is the GDX 6900, not 69,000. It's a collaboration with A Life. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. They're a streetwear brand from New York. They had done a previous collaboration with GShock, but I found this one on sale in the Hudson's Bay. I'm Canadian, despite how American this watch is. I kind of like the color and the way the stars really accent the dial. Also, if you light it up, it says number 1. I believe this model is called the Young America, but if you just look up GDX 6900 AL, you'll be able to find one. And this is the GLX 150, and this is a tide graph and a moon phase. It's pretty cool. This is actually the watch I've had the longest in my collection. I got this in like sophomore year of high school, and I've had it ever since. The illuminator is kind of going dark, but yeah. I remember that being a lot more impressive. I think the battery is about to go. The good thing about GShocks is that typically the battery life is around 10 years, which is kind of crazy. And this is pretty much at the end of the battery life, so that'll be needing a change soon. And the final GShock. This is a DW 6900 MS. Don't know what the MS means, but that's the module number. If you don't know, modules on GShock refer to, you can see, the internal. So some models, this one I know for sure has this. There's the case will be used with different modules, So I guess they're just showing off, hey, this is 3230. Don't really get the point of that, but I like the color scheme on this. I should have mentioned wrist check. I'm wearing my Seiko Arnie. In my first watch collection video, I mentioned it needed a battery change, but I have done a battery change on it. So she's working perfectly. Alright, next up is a Victorinox. This is one of those flea market finds for, I actually think this was only $1. And yep, that's why. See, I changed the battery on this a week ago and it was running perfectly. But suddenly it's decided it wants to not work anymore. Oh well, that's what happens when you buy a watch for like $1. Not a big deal. And we should stick with the military theme here. This is not by any means a cheap watch. This is a Marathon GSAR Anthracite. I really like this watch. I had a standard steel GSAR, but this is just really cool. I love the bezel action on these watches. It's just so crisp. And it's an ETA 2824. All around just a solid watch. You get the Tritium Tubes. Let's see if my camera can pick this up. So instead of having, what's a good watch to show an example of? I'll just use the Arnie. Instead of the luminescent material being painted on, they're tubes of radioactive tritium. You can see the radioactive indicator there. There's actually an NRC number for this. But what they do is fill the tubes with radioactive tritium. It can't pierce through the tubes, so as long as you don't break the tubes while you're servicing it, there's no risk of radiation. And it's coated in a phosphorescent material. The beta radiation, I believe, from the tritium charges that phosphorus, so with a watch like this, or even this, you can see this whole dial is luminescent. It charges by storing light, but this, it's constantly charging the material, so you get a constant illumination. Really cool. And I guess we'll stick with some working watches for now. This is 666 Barcelona Concentric. I like this watch. I had kind of forgotten about it for a while. It's a fashion watch, but it's really nice. Case quality is good, and it brings something unique to the table, so no faults against it there, but again, it's not a shining piece of horology, so to say. In the same vein, this is a Bokhara. I don't know if that's the actual pronunciation. Bokhara. I'm not Swiss, so. This was a Goodwill find. It uses a quartz movement. Oh. See, when I'm about to change the battery on a watch, I leave the case back a bit loose if I want to come back to it. So you can see it's a quartz movement, but it's a nice quartz movement. It actually has, let me check that. 3 jewels? Yeah, 3 jewels, which is not that common in quartz movements. I don't really wear gold. I'm not a fan of gold. So I haven't really felt an urgency in getting this watch working. But still pretty cool. Bokhara, they're kind of their own watch dealership. They sell, they're pretty famous for selling Rolex, but they have had their own house brand. And I believe this is one from one of their collections. It's a pretty high quality watch, but again, not my style. Alright, we'll do 3 at once here, because these are all Mickey Mouse watches made by Seiko. So this one I have a battery in, if you can see. Mickey Mouse. If you watched my previous watch collection video, I had an Ingersoll from the 30s that was part of the origins of the Mickey Mouse watches, and I mentioned I had a couple Seikos, so if you watched that video previously, well, here you are. If not, I'll put a link to it up here. This one has a fresh battery in it. I actually changed it for this video. The date wheel, the date is working, but the day is not. I can't change it off of Wednesday, but it's actually Tuesday as I'm filming this. So, one of those miscellaneous pieces that doesn't really get a lot of wear. I also need to get a strap for it, as for this watch. I don't need to buy one, I just need to choose one for my strap collection. Speaking of straps, this is really cool. These are, from what I believe I've read, these are Disneyland exclusive, Disney World exclusives. I'm not really a Disney fan, so I can't remember. My grandmother actually got these for me when I was a lot younger. I used to be into this stuff, but I don't know. These both need batteries, but when they do have a battery, you press this button and it plays. This one plays It's a Small World. Actually, that's copyrighted music, so I probably shouldn't play it even if I change the battery. And this one, I can't remember the two, but there are other kind of famous Disney songs. Alright, so that's enough of the Mickey Mouse watches. Let's showcase some Timexes. Alright, this one's modern, so I'll start with the vintages. These are very similar style, but this one's an automatic. Is it working? Yeah, it works for a couple seconds, then it dies. I mentioned in my last video these mechanical Timexes, they weren't meant to be repaired, so I get these from like watch lots and people just toss them in there because once they break they're pretty much worthless. But I had hopes for this one because it does work for a brief amount of time, and I just never did anything with it. This one is an electric watch, which uses the same principles as an electronic watch, which I explained in my last video. Essentially, it's same architecture as a mechanical movement, but it uses a battery to power it. This one, it's missing a seconds hand, and I couldn't find which battery I'm supposed to use with it, and nothing I tested worked, so put these down. This one actually does work. If you can see. But it's a really small, so it's too small for me to wear, so I don't wear it. This one also, I need to pick out a new strap for it. I just changed the battery on it. This is a Waterbury. I don't know the exact model name of this. This was when they first released the Waterbury collection. Kind of regret not waiting to buy one, because they've had several models that I consider way cooler than this, but this is a nice watch. It's styled after some of the more vintage Pilot's watches. You got the Indiglo. Yeah, you can't see that, I don't think. But anyway, it's rather nice. The IP coating, I don't think it's PVD. Either PVD or IP coating. It tells up really well. I I'm impressed for, I think this was like $100. So you might think that's ridiculous to spend on a Timex, but Timex has been greatly improving their watches, so I'm happy to see them making a comeback. Okay, let's stick with some cheap watches here. Yeah, we'll just do these two. This is, I don't even know, this is a K & Bros. One of my friends actually gave me this. I don't know much about it. He said it was from like his childhood. He wanted to see if I could do anything with it. It's just all plastic. He eventually just let me keep it. Because the bracelet it came on was all clear. I used it briefly on, I think actually, no, not this one. I did use it briefly and then put it in a drawer and forgot about it. I'm sorry. Yeah. But this is a Casio MDV 106, also known as the Marlin. This just needs a new battery. I've actually owned 3 of these. I just kept breaking them all. It's like a $40 watch last time I checked. It may have gone up in price, but I don't know. It's, if you're looking for a budget dive watch, this is really nice, but I eventually got way more into dive watches, and I just kind of stopped caring about this one. Because when you have stuff like this, it's kind of irrelevant. But yeah, let's do some pocket watches. So this is one of my favorite watches, but it kind of scares me how much it's going to cost to repair this, because this movement is just gorgeous. Look at that. The Côte de Genève, the gold chatons, the gold fill on the writing, just everything on this is perfectly done. Got a swan neck escapement. This is, to get this quality in a modern watch, you're looking at like a Langenzoon or Glasout Original, just for this level of finishing and detail, basically. It's a Hamilton, I've forgotten the code on it, 992. It is a railroad watch, and I'm not going to mind it because the balance wheel isn't seated, so it needs to be disassembled and serviced, which is a pretty penny, to say the least. Look at that case back. Gorgeous, just gorgeous. And need 2 hands for this. If you look at the finishing on it, oh, it's so nice. Look at that. The dial is enamel. I can't get this open. Whatever. I don't want to break it any further, but to set it, you can't pull out the crown. You take off the front bezel, and there's a lever. That's called a railroad watch. And Ball Watch Company invented this style because there was a train, from what I've heard, there was a train crash in like the late 19th century where one of the conductors had bumped the crown on his pocket watch, and the timing for when to switch over was wrong, and there was a head-on collision with these 2 trains outside Cleveland, I believe. And so this became the railroad standard for watches. This is quite a broken stopwatch. I like the noises it makes. I got this for $5 at a flea market, but the reason I spent that much on a broken stopwatch is because this was used by, from what I actually took this to the CBC, the Canadian Broadcast Company. This was used to time their broadcasts in the guy said the 60s. It's a Minerva who who, if you're a Panerai fan, you'll know that name because they made a lot of legendary movements that Panerai still uses today. This one's got a bit of history to it, so I really like it. Yeah, it was used by the Canadian Broadcast Company, corporation, not company. Okay, last two watches. And I'm going to start with this one. This is a Swatch Pop. It's called the Pop because you just pop it out and it becomes a pocket watch, I guess. I don't really know what the point of this is. It was like a 50-cent find. I just thought it looked cool, you know. Yeah, not much to say about this. It's a very strange watch. It's huge as well. This Seiko Arnie is around 48 millimeters. So the way you buckle it up is pretty cool though. It's like a seatbelt kind of. You do this and there you go. I don't know if it just needs a new battery. You can see the luminescent material from the hands has fallen out and is residing around the dial. Let's see if I can, yeah, down there. So, yeah, I don't think this is worth really doing any serious work. Okay, this doesn't want to cooperate with me. I don't think this is worth doing any serious work to, but it's cool nonetheless. I sometimes like just having watches like this because they're an interesting footnote in the history of watches. So again, it's nothing that special though. This is pretty cool. It came without a crystal, so that's the dial damage down there, but if you can see, it's mechanical. It actually works. I don't know anything about this. It says it's Swiss. It says all acrylic case, as if you couldn't tell already, but look at that. It's very strange. Yeah, I just need to get a crystal for this. But it really isn't my style. Again, I think it's cool, and I have an addictive personality, so I start collecting watches and then I end up hoarding them. Anyway, that should conclude this video. Believe it or not, I still have more watches than this. I have several drawers filled with watches that need to be repaired, even more than the last video showed. So if you want more, leave a comment, and if not, well, thanks for watching. Have a good night.